Welcome to the Intercut Podcast, a weekly show going through the movies, TV, and entertainment that people just can't cut away from. And it is time to talk about all of the best movies of next year before this year even ends by breaking down the Sundance 2024. I was going to say international, but it's just a regular film festival that goes internationally. As always, I am your co-host Arturo Zurita, and joining me to break down all of your future favorite must-watch movies, it's Zachary Shevich and Amanda the Jedi.
Woo! Cheering for
What's
myself.
going on?
Super
Ready
excited
for
about
another year out in Utah, in the
Yeah.
snow, in the mountains, the coldest film festival that we go to, but it's
Like the
worth it for
prettiest.
the movies. Yeah, it's
It really
really
is.
pretty. And the
Actually,
air,
Con is really pretty, but I actually Utah.
it's
Park
probably
City.
the most refreshing air to breathe in of all the film festivals we go to.
You haven't walked down the Chicago alleys for the Chicago Film Fest, so I'm just saying, different strokes for different folks. But we're gonna be breaking down all of the entire lineup, pretty much going through all of the feature films, the documentaries, all of the good stuff like we've done every year. We know that this is one of the Intercuties' favorite breakdowns that we do because it gives you a leg up on whatever film festival picks you may want to have on your radar, especially because some are also going to be virtual. So besides going through the lineup, we're gonna give you our 3 tips on what to do if you're going to the festival, be it at Park City or at home, which to me has been the best thing that this festival has done, is continuing to have it be more accessible for people. But before we do that, right off the bat, we want to get you all excited with our top 5 most anticipated picks. Anybody want to go first?
I could take it first if we want to. You want me to run through all 5 or just give you one?
Go for it. Give me your top 5.
I'll start this out with a film from a previous Sundance alum, back and in competition, but somebody you're familiar with as well. It's the second film directed by Jesse Eisenberg, A Real
Ooh.
Pain. I'm really excited for this one. We were just talking about before the stream his last film, When He Finished Saving the World, which we all really liked at Sundance, but kind of got left by the wayside when it was released more widely. Hopefully that doesn't end up being the case for this one. It's a film that stars both him and Kieran Culkin as cousins who reunite through a tour of Poland to honor their old grandmother. And I don't know, I as somebody who is Polish, maybe I'm just looking at the connection that it could have to my own experience, but I also think it's that Jesse Eisenberg is a actor who has a very specific wavelength that I usually find really interesting, and I think that's carried through in some of his work as a writer and as a director. So I'm really curious to see what he's got in store for this movie.
Nice. Good pick.
I've also got Between the Temples. I don't know how much either of you have looked into this one,
No.
but it stars the boy, Jason Schwartzman, who I think is really exciting when he gets to play the lead in these kind of indie comedies. I think back on his work in films like Listen Up, Philip and stuff, where he's just so fun and interesting and is able to really dig into these characters. This one I think is going to be really interesting. It comes from director Nathan Silver. He's a guy who I was familiar with through a movie he made called Actor Martinez, which does a really interesting job of blending fiction and documentary filmmaking and blurring the lines. He's a very interesting and kind of subversive director, kind of making these grimy indie sort of comedic dramas, but not really. So I'm just curious to see what he's got in store, given that he's working with an actor I really like in Jason Schwartzman.
Nice. And those are both in the U.S. Dramatic.
Yeah. We'll shift over to the premieres section and look at my next pick, a documentary called Girls State. It probably
Let's
sounds
go.
familiar
Nice.
because it is the new film from Jesse Moss and Amanda McBain, who were previously at Sundance with Boys State, one of the best
Wow.
documentaries that has come out, I think, in the last, 10 years. I really, really love that first film. And I think they're hopefully giving us more of what we wanted. I think all of us had the question actually after we saw Boys State, like, is there a Girls State and will we get to see it at some point? So hopefully it lives up to the hype. It's a premise that feels ripe for drama, given that it's about these sort of I don't know if you'd call them camps, but like educational experiences that high schoolers go off to sort of like reenact the process of running for different positions in government. And the first film, Boys State, just was so interesting in the ways that even in this like small version of the like electoral system that's kind of being put on for show, you still get these like ugly reflections of what our current political system is like. So I can only imagine the drama we're in store for in a girls version of Boys State. All right, two more. Going over to the midnight category, I'm really curious about this movie called Kidnapping Inc. I don't really know much about the people behind this one. Bruno Morale, I believe, is making his feature debut with this one.
Second.
They called the other one a mid-length film, so I wonder.
Isn't that raw though?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be like him working on a different level, and I think even the premise just sort of promises excitement. It's about these two kidnappers who are hired to do an abduction and find it out that they are in the middle of a political conspiracy. I can imagine this having the feel of like a run all night thriller. Maybe it's going to be something more comedic, and if it is, I'd be in for that too, but it's in the midnight category, so you know there's going to be something grisly or subversive or raunchy or vulgar or just sort of like countercultural associated with it. So Kidnapping Inc. sounds like it's going to be hopefully a fun time, maybe a crazy experience, but definitely one movie that I'm looking forward to catching. I will wrap up my recommendations with My Old Ass. It is a film written and directed by Megan Park. It is also how I feel, but Megan Park is the person who made The Fallout, a movie that I think we all really responded to.
We did.
When that film premiered at South by Southwest a few years ago. This movie sees her reuniting with one of the actresses from that film, and Maddie Ziegler. Also sees her incorporating one of our reigning Sundance queens in Aubrey Plaza. Aubrey Plaza pretty much is enough to get my name in the door. But that title too, I mean, sometimes the title just sort of speaks to you, reflects your lived experience back to you, and you just got to go with it. You got to go with your heart. So maybe I'm going with my heart. Maybe I'm going with my ass, but I'm going to see My Old Ass.
Our old asses will be in those seats first day.
Yeah.
Very true.
All right, Amanda, what are your top 5 movies?
Ooh, all right. Some stuff's kind of been moving around here, but I think I'm going to go with I Saw the TV Glow just to get a midnight one in there right away. We got Justice Smith, Bridget Lundy Payne from... I can't remember the Netflix series. She's the sister in the Netflix series. Atypical. Yeah. She's the sister in Atypical. So, you know, yeah, wow. She's her. So, I'm just kind of like interested by this one. I think it's made by the same people. Maybe not.
Jane, who did one of the biggest ones from, I think it was the COVID year.
We're all going to the World Fair. So I was a little bit lukewarm on that one, even though the subject matter really should have been like 100% what I'm into. But I do feel like this one seems like it's going to hit a little bit harder for me. I like the idea of this like mysterious late night TV show. I like things that can kind of feel like they can build up this like cult momentum behind them in a world, in a movie universe. So I'm pretty... interested in that one just from my first view of that.
Inner Cuties are, I think this is the one that we're most excited for because they loved the one she did prior. Yeah. A24 already picked this one up.
That's usually a good sign. That's what I mean.
It's got pretty decent producers.
Yeah, and that's what I saw Emma Stone,
and her husband David McCrary, who did one of the best in Brigsby Bear. But I Saw TV Glow is definitely up there. I think it's one of the best midnight ones. Yeah,
so I'm pretty excited for that one. Another one that I'm just going to kind of toss it to one of the world ones. It's called Girls Will Be Girls. This is actually one I just kind of saw today. Kind of from my understanding is that it's like this girl who's at a very restrictive boarding school. And then she's just kind of going through that coming of age story of like you're discovering that like desire for romance and sexuality within yourself and how that kind of goes at odds with her mother, who felt like she didn't have that opportunity to go through that same kind of rebellious phase that certain people do, which I do feel like is something that can happen a lot with, not mine, but like I've heard a lot of my friends being like, yeah, my mom was kind of weird about me kind of getting certain experiences because she felt like she didn't get to do those things. And instead of being like, I want better for you, it's more like mourning for the experiences you didn't have. So I'm kind of interested to see what this
Yeah,
kind
it sounds
of,
good.
yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how this one plays out.
It reminds me, remember last year, the big winner, the Persian version, was doing a
Yeah.
comedic kind of take on that, where
Yeah,
her and
yeah.
her mother were kind of like, the stories were intertwined. This director's made a short called A Period Piece, and it was about an Indian woman having sex in her period and how taboo that is.
Yeah.
She's going to get the tone down for sure. So
Oh, yeah.
that's a good pick. Girls will be
Yeah.
girls.
So I think it'll be interesting. Next one, again, most of my thing is like I don't like knowing too much about things before I go into seeing them, but I do know that Steven Soderbergh has a movie called Presence
he
with Lucy
does.
Liu premiering at this, and Julia Fox. So I'm pretty interested to see. Julia's had an interesting run of her career, and I'm always interested to see what she ends up doing and what she ends up in.
Not her first time working with Soderbergh. She also was
Yeah.
in No Sudden Move.
Yeah, she was in No Sudden Move. So I'm pretty much excited for this one. I think it's just kind of it seems like on the surface just like a ghost story, like a family moves into a house and they don't feel like they're alone in the house, but like I'm sure it's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Knowing Soderbergh and just general vibes, I'm sure that's just the most like sanitized way that they can put it without spoiling too much, which I am fine with. So looking forward to that.
It's also written by David Cope, who, like,
Ooh.
you know, some big movies there, just Spider-Man, Jurassic
few.
Park,
Just
Indiana
a few.
Jones, some Mission Impossible movies. But he also did Panic Room and Secret Window.
Oh,
And I think he's going to
nice.
be more on that mystery thriller
Yeah,
side, which
yeah.
is how they're pitching the movie.
Yes, yeah, the mystery side of things is really what you're getting. My number 2 is we got the man Sebastian Stan coming back for his
Yes.
indie round with A Different Man, which is about an actor going under like really extreme plastic surgery so that he can have like a better face. So he wants to be an actor, obviously. So in it, I feel like it just kind of spirals out from there, from all the bad things that could happen if you drastically change your appearance that much and just trying to get back to a place you might have been that you can't. So that one, again, one I'm not really looking into too much, but very, very excited to see how that one turns out. I love Sebastian Stan and these kind of weirder, he showed that he can be weird as hell and do all sorts of like, and really commit to what he's doing on screen. So I'm excited for this one. And then also the girl from Worst Person in the World is in it, Renat,
Yeah.
who I
She's
can
in,
never say her name. She's in a couple
couple of
things.
movies,
She's in a
yeah.
couple movies here. She's in a couple this year. That's usually, we see that at Sundance. There's usually a lot of
doubles?
overlap.
Yeah.
A lot of doubles. And then my last one should be no surprise to anyone here. Love Lies Bleeding, my number one
Yeah.
anticipated movie. We got creepy Kristen Stewart going in with another gay story. She manages a gym and she falls hard for one of the bodybuilders there. And it spirals into some wild violence. And I guess Lou's from a criminal family. So again, I haven't even watched the trailer for that. I know it
Oh,
exists.
you
and
haven't?
I shared it and I didn't watch it. I was like, I was seeing this, and
Oh,
I
it's
shared the trailer.
crazy.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I saw up until like seeing Ed Harris with the creepy hair, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in. And I backed out. So yeah, Ed Harris is in it too. Dave Franco, Jenna Malone, who you guys she's had such just like wild career because you wouldn't think she's not old by any means, but like she's in Donnie Darko, which came
Right.
out in like 2000.
Contact
And then-
also? She's got that
and
crazy shot.
Exactly.
She's
but
a
then she's
vet.
also looks the exact same age as she was in Donnie Darko when she hits Hunger Games Catching Fire, which
Yes,
is like 20 years
yes.
later. Not 20, but like, yeah, 20 years later, basically.
She's also in a
Not
couple
20,
here.
like 13.
She's in another
Yeah,
one
she's
as
in a couple.
well.
She's in one with David Schwimmer,
Yeah.
A Little Death. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I hope it delivers, but I will be there seated and attempting to be there seated day one.
Yeah, and that's another one that's also directed by Rose Glass, who a lot of people
Yes.
really liked her last outing in St. Maud. Already picked up by A24 and I think has a March release date. So we're going to have that leg
Hey.
up and being able to get a review out to talk about it before everybody gets it pretty soon.
And apparently,
So,
this one might actually be one of the digital ones. I ain't gonna watch it digital, but somebody said that they think this one is one of the digital selections. I don't know how true that is. It doesn't seem like it's one of the ones that they would make a digital selection.
Some wishful thinking, maybe.
Because like usually
once
once,
putting it out there into
because I think once
this film is not
I didn't
available
think so.
online.
I was pretty sure it couldn't have been. I didn't double check it, but I was like, that doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. Like the second A24 picks things up, that's when it leaves.
We are going to be breaking that down on what is online, what is not. There's specific categories. If they're in competition, they tend to be. So something like the midnight category is usually not available, which is why
Which is
I
weird
think
to me.
yeah, you can first and foremost look at the schedule right off the bat and see what is playing and what is not playing just by going to the main site on the program and seeing
Nice.
when the tickets are going to be
Oh, yeah,
available,
yeah.
when they're going to be playing, and then when usually something has an online screening. So for example, if you opened up to the US dramatic competition, you'd be able to scroll around and see that
Oh,
not
nice.
only are you able to see it in person as it loads here, but you'll see when they have a window available for you to see it at home.
Oh,
So
cool.
just because you're not at the festival, you can still be at the festival in the comfort of your own couch. So
Yeah,
that's one of
between the
big things to
temples
look out
there
for.
that Zach is looking forward to is available online. A real pain.
So-
Everything that
shocking.
is in competition is going
Is
to
it-
be online.
Oh, that
Yeah.
makes sense to me.
So anything that's a premiere, sadly, is not. So these are
Right.
movies that have already they've either
They're-
been picked
they're
up
gone
or
and
they're
away.
big
Yeah.
ones. Yeah, that's why they're in that category. But there are some. So again, look out for it. If it's a tiny documentary, they will make it available to the public. So just keep an eye out for that because things can change. But yeah, that's probably the first thing to note in terms of how you're going to be approaching the tickets. To get tickets, as we've broken down every single year, you pretty much just go to the ticket site. They have different passes for you to go and select if you're going to be there in person. There is two distinct things to break down, and that is whether you're going to be in Park City or whether you're going to be in Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City is always going to be your best bang for your buck. Park City is where all the partying happens, but it is the busiest and most priciest of them all. They have some of the most beautiful theaters, but if you were looking to just go there for a couple of days, I do think that Salt Lake City is going to be the better option if you're looking for a more budget-friendly way to do things. The most important part would be is seeking out the theaters because you want to make sure that you give yourself enough time, no matter whether you're in Park City or in Salt Lake, to get to the theaters that you need to. So even if you get a lot of these passes.
Yeah.
Which we should also mention that like you may look up how long it takes to travel from the Egyptian to the Eccles on Google Maps and it'll say something like 10-15 minutes. It's not that short. During the festival, particularly during that opening long weekend, 5 or 6 days that start the festival, Park City is a small ski village that gets overrun by half of Hollywood. So the traffic comes to a standstill. Definitely add like an additional 30 minutes to your travel time when you're going
Or learn to walk fast.
anywhere in Park City by car, at least.
I can get from Holiday to Eccles in 15 minutes.
She was beating out Uber.
That's a challenge.
being-
I want send your best Eccles to
Send your
where was
best.
it?
Well,
Yeah,
Your best
send your
trial
best.
time trial.
Yeah.
You're just going to be skating from theater to theater.
Yeah, take advantage of the bus system, though. The bus system becomes free the entire time the festival is running.
That's a
Take
good way to
advantage
go.
of it. It's usually reliable as long as you get on the right one at the right time. And
Memorize that schedule. The map.
memorize the schedule and don't be afraid to ask the bus driver and say, don't just say, do you go to this stop? Say, are you going to this spot next, which is logically where you should be going next? Or do you have like 10 other stops before you get to that
Yep,
spot?
good point.
So look at the routes, make sure you're paying attention, ask the volunteers. They're really good, really knowledgeable, really helpful. Yeah, just don't, if you can avoid driving, avoid driving.
It is not a drive-friendly city. If you park in the wrong place, your car will be towed. It will be gone, and it will not be there when you're out from your theater. Do you guys have a favorite theater? We like to always go and try to hit every single one for our annual visit. But is there one that you know you can't go home without that you would recommend for new visitors?
Well, I feel like the biggest and sometimes most exciting films tend to have their premiere at the Eccles, and there is something special about getting a rousing audience, applause and Q&A at the Eccles that really does feel like the Sundance experience. And the theater is, decently comfy. It's given that it's a high school auditorium.
Yeah.
Even if it isn't necessarily the best like sound or picture quality you'll get at the festival.
Right.
Especially where you sit.
Yeah, for sure. You will get better sound and picture quality at a place like the Egyptian, which is kind of like the historic Sundance one. Definitely a fun place to catch like a midnight movie, but those seats are not necessarily the most accommodating or the most modern. So that is something to keep in mind as well. And that screening room fills up very quickly. I think the best mixture of those things, you'll probably all agree with me, is got to be the Ray.
Yeah.
The Ray is the best one.
The Ray
without
is
a
the
doubt.
best.
If you want to see a movie with the fullest experience at Sundance, it is right at the center of everything going on. There are multiple other venues around it, and you have the Fresh Market, which really is the hub for all things life support, food, anything that you need, and it's right there next to the DoubleTree in the back, and it's the one with the best Dolby sound.
Yeah. Those that year that me and Alina were working press, and we had to wait for hours, so we had to line up super fast to make sure that we could be the first ones in after everyone else got let in. The Fresh Market was like the lifesaver. It's everything. I don't actually think I caught the Ray this year. I actually don't think I saw a movie in the Ray.
Oh, we'll have to change that.
Yeah, I got a lot of premieres this year. So I was at Eccles. So much this year.
Worth it. Because when you get the Q&As and you get like surprise performances like we did with the theater
Yeah,
camp,
theater
it's definitely
camp.
worth it. But I will say, because last year they were giving out stuff at the Eccles. So keep an eye out to be there early in some venues, specifically the Ray, because they'll give out whatever the sponsor is for the year. They tend to do a lot of promotion there for the early screenings. So besides the in-person stuff to check out, to keep on your radar, there is also the online component. Like we said, we're going to be going through the festival and letting you know which one's online or not. But you do have various options here to get a festival package online. You can get individual tickets. You can get a whole shorts pass, which allows you to see all of the shorts, which I think is definitely worth it, because a lot of these shorts end up becoming features. They end up becoming Oscar nominees, and if not winners. But the award winners package is also a really great option, because whatever wins, you get to secure your tickets right away. Maybe you don't know what you want to risk your money on. This will be all of the winners right at your disposal in the comfort of your own home. Because again, all of the titles that are in competition will be available virtually. So keep an eye out for that. But if you have any other questions or anything, let us know down below. I don't know if y'all have any other last minute tips, tricks, or otherwise. Besides gloves?
Definitely gloves. Gloves are really important. Just getting into the idea of what tickets to choose, and if you are potentially doing the in-person experience, obviously if you are interested in going to premieres and seeing Q&As and seeing the stars show up, then you got to be there for those first few days in that opening weekend.
Because they leave,
Yeah, but if you are just in it for the movies, you can get like a best of fest package or a second half package, and that's a great way to, at a much more affordable rate, be in Sundance seeing the movies. And that's ultimately the reason why all of us go there. So that's totally something to consider as well. And just another notice that, like, I know there's going to be frustration from a lot of people over which films are playing online and which films are not. But Sundance is, as Art was mentioning, probably the last major festival standing that has a significant amount of its catalog available online. And it might not be all of the most splashy films or the A24 films, but there's going to be a lot of really great films there. And as we go through the catalog, we'll talk about what great films you might already know have premiered in some of these categories and which of those categories are going to be online.
Also the wait list. Never underestimate the wait list. Make sure you get the Sundance app, especially for those early morning ones. They have become so available that they're inviting press to make sure that those seats get filled. So if you're willing to wake up and make the treks in the morning, the wait list is a great way to still make it in.
We should add to that waitlist thing. The waitlist is particularly useful for those big auditoriums. So you can look up and see like the Eccles, or even like the library is pretty big. There's I don't remember the name of the one in Salt Lake City where we saw Hereditary. That's pretty big.
Rose Theater.
Yeah, the Rose
Wagner.
So I'm sure you could look that up as well, see the capacity of some of these places, and those might be the ones to waitlist. The Egyptian waitlist, for example, is not necessarily the most worth your time.
To make the trek all the way up there and then get denied?
You're even if you're like 10.
That's a midnight category.
Even if you're like 5 on the Egyptian wait list, you might not be getting in.
It's so
like,
difficult.
Play that game, but don't think you're out because you're 75 at Eccles, because 75 seats is not that much in an auditorium that holds like 2,000 people. If a lot of people decide they aren't going to show up, and a lot of people in front of you decide that they're not going to show up for their wait list. People get caught with this every year. Wait list. You have to be there 30 minutes before the start time of the movie. Otherwise, your spot... They'll let you go, but you got to go to the back of the line. So if everyone else ahead of you gets in, you can still get in. But we're talking 1 minute past, you will not be allowed to get into your spot, which I appreciate because it sucks sometimes. You're hauling ass places, but
fair is fair.
Fair is fair. Just keep in mind. So they'll start lining you up by number. They'll pay attention if you're trying to sneak in there, and people will call you out because they don't want to not get in because you showed up 10 minutes late and you're the last one they let in.
Yeah.
So just be there 30
if
minutes
you're at a
before.
screening and you hear someone get a better number than you for the next screening that you're going to, put some gum on their shoes, make sure that they slow down so they can get their
Yeah, and there's so many times that there's been so many times that you guys have been like 9 and 10, I've been like 20 and 30, and Zach's 50, and we've all gotten in.
Yeah,
exactly.
So
especially for Eccles, but yeah, just pray and just follow the rules. Just show up,
just follow the rules,
be there, and then play it by ear. If you're 200 and every single person in front of you showed up and it's a nighttime screening, you might be screwed. Wait if you really care, but maybe move on to something else.
It's all possible.
And dress warm. Make sure, look at the weather, bring clothing, have it available. It's pretty warm once you get inside, but like you might have to be waiting outside in a lot of these places.
Do we want to reveal the secrets of our favorite burritos in Park City? That might be a nice tip for some people.
Yeah.
You have to.
We'll cut it out of the full release.
Arturo, you're the one who found it. Do you want to give them a shout out? The no free ads, but here's a free ad.
Alberto's. It's the go-to spot. It is kind of right in the center between Eccles and there.
It means a little bit more coming from you than from me.
Yeah.
It is good.
What does it mean if I
say burritos? I could have my burritos back at the Airbnb, but
yeah, when we found out we could we could get it delivered, and I'm trying to order, and it's like, it's not taking my zip code. It's not taking my zip code.
The fact it's so logistically in the way of every theater, every time we needed it, it's a godsend. And the burritos, really they have everything you need from breakfast to lunch, dinner. Dude. Every single burrito smacks. We can have a different one every single day, and you'll never get bored. I
destroyed my ribs saving that burrito. Like, I almost went to the hospital. I was like, I can't breathe, guys. And I was like,
we even had a life-altering moment at front of Alberto's last time because that's when the car broke down.
Yep.
So that place is very special for us. It is a sanctuary. Exactly. We're not sponsored. We are just fully endorsing Alberto's Burritos. So shout out Alberto's. From here on out, though, it's time to get into the best and most anticipated movies from the festival. I have a little Letterboxd lineup right here of all the stuff. There's some that I need to add because they continue to switch. Sometimes there's doubles, but I have a whole Letterboxd lineup with all of the movies that are coming out. It's the best way to see what we're watching because you can do it, based off your followers. What's the most anticipated? What are people rating the highest? We also have a little bit of a Notion page for all of the Intra-Cuties and all the patrons out there for you to be able to check and follow along so that you have your watch list to have as well. But let us begin with the U.S. Dramatic Competition. This is the be-all. This is the one that gets the big jury winner. And we have a selection of 10. But previously, we've had several movies come out of this category.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the iconic Sundance category, right? Going back to the days of films like Clerks debuting here to one of the more contemporary favorites in Whiplash. Debuting here. Is there any favorite? This is one where I feel like I don't even need to have done the research for you because I'm sure both of you have picks from like Minari more recently. Precious obviously was a big one. Brigsby Bear, one of your favorites from the festival. Amanda, is there any that you can think of that were in the U.S. Dramatic Competition that are some of your favorite Sundance movies?
Whiplash is definitely up there. I'm just so bad at remembering what categories.
Yeah.
Cha-Cha.
What?
Cha-Cha.
Oh, Cha-Cha Real Smooth. Yeah, that's definitely one. I love Cha-Cha.
Exactly.
Cha-Cha's really good. Was 500 Days of Summer U.S. Dramatic?
Ooh,
maybe. That's a good one.
I'll look that up, but I feel like it was.
Could be.
It seems like it should be.
Yeah. But looking at the lineup that we have here, I've kind of got them ranked in a specific order of how I'm anticipating them. So I'm going to be going through them, giving you some fun facts, and then letting y'all know. Do you think the people should catch this in person, seek out that
Cool.
virtual because this category has it, or maybe wait post fest. But I agree, like Amanda, that if you're going to go to a film festival and Kristen Stewart's there, you kind of have to go see her.
I gotta go.
The Midnight one is great,
Fighting
but my
for it.
most anticipated right now from the U.S. Dramatic Competition is Love Me. It comes from a couple who wrote and directed the movie, the Zuccheros. This is the husband. This is the wife. And it's a love story that's supposed to take place long after humanity's extinction, where they're saying it's a buoy and a satellite. But I see humans here.
Me
So
too.
I
I
don't
was
know
like-
what type of crazy intergalactic story they're gonna make. Are their souls continuing through inanimate objects? Is this gonna be like Wall-E for adults? Wall-E's already for adults. Is this gonna be the next step for it? I'm very excited
excited
for this, to the point that it's made my top 5 of the fest completely. And the beauty of it is that you're gonna be able to catch it online if you're curious. So keep an eye out for this one. I think all of us are excited, and Zach already had the bit that ironically the two titles to mix up a lot also just so happen to have Stewart.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
both of the Love movies, Love Me and Love Lies Bleeding. It's not going to make it easy for me to remember when we're already like 50 movies deep, but
It's easy. It's
yeah.
easy. Bleeding,
Midnight.
muscly mommy.
right.
Bleeding, muscly mommy.
Okay.
That's all you need.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't. Love Lies Bleeding is it midnight?
It's midnight. It's midnight. Yeah. It's like a
Oh.
murder.
I know
mystery
I
or
know
something like
that, but for some reason I thought it was in a different.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
it is.
this
Okay.
is the
Yeah,
this
sick.
is the one Kristen Stewart movie that actually will be online.
Yeah. On top
Yeah.
of that, there's going to be extra screenings for it. There is a completely different page for you to go check it out because it
Ooh.
already won an award. There is always an award that gets
Whoa.
given out
Alfred
before.
P. Sloan.
Y'all already know it. This award has gone to movies like Tesla. One of my personal favorites, Searching, got this award, and they already have a jury prior to the festival that gets to pick it. So that means that you're going to have a second window to check it out online. You're going to have other options to go see it, and oh, look at that, the right theater. No better theater to catch this in.
Hey.
So one of my most
I'm gunning.
anticipated, multiple reviews or multiple venues to catch it at. Love Me, going to be playing at the top of the U.S. Dramatic Competition. The next one, I agree with Zach. A Real Pain had Jesse Eisenberg going to
Yeah.
Poland, visiting it, having all of his baggage that he was dealing with personally, and then going, dang, look at the history here in Poland. He's now combining all of his personal trauma with historical trauma. We were both real big fans of his last outing that he had in When You Finish Saving the World.
Yeah.
A movie that Zach put in his hidden, and yeah, you have a stellar cast here. Kieran Culkin, we thought had a standout
Kieran.
final season. Kieran, did I say it wrong?
You said Kiernan, which is really
I
funny.
mean the
because,
extra N.
Yeah, there's an
bad.
actual publication wrote it like that, and I was like, guys.
Mr. Culkin. It's going to be in this alongside Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
They play brothers, if I'm not mistaken.
Cousins.
Cousins. And this is the second movie, or unless you want to consider the first, that's also produced by the duo Emma Stone and her husband Dave McCary.
Hey.
So
Yeah,
it's got that
looking
really
forward to
good
this one.
backup. And when you got producers who have produced some bangers from Sundance,
Yeah.
I think you're going to be set. So really looking forward to this one. Plus, this doesn't have a composer so far. This is a movie that literally just says that there is a music supervisor and that's it.
Oh.
So it's going to rely on the
They got a
visuals.
Georgie. They got a Georgie.
Yeah, and their cinematographer just so happens to be one of the best Polish cinematographers out there with
Eo.
Wolf, Sweat. So yeah, this is going to be a really good one. So keep an eye out for A Real Pain, a U.S. and Poland production. The next
Excited for
one
that
that
one.
I personally have that I'm really looking forward to is this movie called In the Summers, about two daughters who are kind of dealing with their father, who's got a lot of trauma, if I'm not mistaken, and they're going through a lot of ups and downs with them. But what's interesting is that this is a stat cast. You have Supergirl, you have,
I was expecting a different
Batgirl.
one.
and then you have the performer of the year from last year, Leo Michel from Mutt.
Hey.
Ooh.
This has
I
a stat
Didn't know
cast.
they were in Dear Evan Hansen.
Dude, that surprises me every single time that I open it. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So I think that the cast right there was already enough. But for anybody who cares about Residente, this is a really big Latino performer. He is from Calle 13. He sings the song Atrévete, which was just in Blue Beetle, which got the biggest reaction from every screening that I had. The dude is making a turn over here for acting. He plays the father. That has me like 100% already excited for this movie. I think it's going to be a fascinating look at them. It comes from a producer who did Birdman, wrote Birdman, has worked
Hey.
with Alejandro multiple times. And there is a chance that this might come to Netflix. I did my due diligence. I looked at it. A lot of these pictures have been released on Netflix. They've played at festivals and then gone to go there. So in case you do miss it, know that there is a chance to catch it after the fact. But in the summers, my third runner up there.
Yay.
This next one is a comedy drama. Dee Dee.
Oh,
I don't know if you
Hey.
guys have heard anything about this one, but there was a short that played last year called Grandma and Grandma, also known as Nai Nai and Waipo, which I wish they kept because that was the original name at Sundance. I'm rooting for this to get a nomination at the Oscars. That's how good it is. It's been
Wow,
nominated
okay.
in several places.
nice.
But this is the director making his feature debut, if I'm not mistaken, about a little boy right before he goes to high school. Now, the thing about that is that Isaac Wang playing the little boy just so happens to be one of the funniest parts of Good Boys.
Oh yeah.
He was also in Raya, so it makes sense that a producer on this project is Carlos Lopez Estrada, who was previously at Sundance with one of our favorites in summertime. So I think
Yeah.
it's got a really good cast going with it. Joan Chen, who I know a lot of people are going to know from Twin Peaks, I believe maybe playing a parental figure in this, but it looks like it's going to be a really funny take on adolescence. So Dee Dee, another pick from the U.S. Dramatic Competition.
Nice. I got one more pick. I don't know if you have stress positions on your list, but it's definitely
Stress
one
Position's a good one.
that I'm really excited for as well, about a guy who's keeping strict quarantine in his ex-husband's Brooklyn brownstone while caring
yeah.
for his nephew while bedridden in a full leg cast after an electric scooter accident. It's a very convoluted plot, but it
I like
sounds
that.
it sounds like the kind of like uptight hijinks that would be hilarious in the mouth of somebody like John Early, who Art and I like quite a bit, from his specials that have been on Peacock to his appearances in various films. I also really love his role on the formerly TBS and then Max show Search Party, I think it was.
Yeah.
But he's a hilarious performer, and he gets to take the center stage here. I just sort of, there's that one image that they use for the film of him just looking covered in flop sweat leaning out of a window, and it just gives me the kind of like
Yeah.
exasperated energy that I think is going to be pretty hysterical. So
that's
Stress
good.
Positions is definitely one of the ones I'm looking forward to.
Good one. I hope this one's good. It is written, directed, edited, composed, and starring Tita Hamill. So that's also another impressive stat that always stands out
Hey.
for me. So
Yeah.
that's a good one in Stress Positions. Any other picks over here?
I'm interested by Sasquatch Sunrise, Sasquatch Sunset,
Yeah.
Sasquatch Sunset.
Suncoast?
Just Suncoast is good. That one I've
Suncoast
left
Video.
that one too. But I think I'm going to see that before the festival because they seem very amenable to sending screeners. So that's why that didn't make my list, because I feel like I'm going to see it before we get there, which doesn't mean it's bad. We've seen so many good things from
Yeah.
screeners. Talk to Me was a screener. But so that one, Suncoast looks really good. But I was talking about Sasquatch Sunset.
Oh. Do you have anything from the dramatic competition?
Oh, dramatic competition.
Yeah.
Oh, right. We're in a different category.
While you search that one up, the other ones
Suncoast
that
did
I
seem
would
good,
have
yeah.
Pony Boy. This is going to be a
Yeah.
really good one.
Oh,
Pony
yeah.
Boy is a drama that has a stat cast from Dylan O'Brien. I know a lot of people are
I
fans
love my boy Dylan.
of Victoria Pedretti.
I love
Everybody
her.
else in
She's
this
back.
killing it
She's
on all
back.
cylinders.
I've been worried about her. She disappeared.
I'm glad she's back too.
Yeah. I think I don't know what happened to her at Netflix, but she said nah.
Yeah.
So I was worried.
I don't know if y'all got to
Sorry.
see Everybody, which was talking about intersex
Yeah, yeah.
people. River was in that movie, in that documentary. They wrote let me see if I find it right here. They wrote the short and directed the short.
Ooh.
So now they've got a
okay.
movie. My only concern here is that it comes from the dude who did Blast Beat.
I
Which
like
I thought was
Blast
decent.
Beat.
I thought-
I think
yeah,
I
I
liked
thought-
it the
exactly.
most. I think I liked
thought it was
the
decent.
most.
It was fine. But what really has me excited is the fact that this not only has a stat cast, but you have the team who worked on Theater Camp, Cha Cha.
Yeah.
Am I okay?
Am I okay?
Emma Thompson is producing this.
Oh.
And Stephen Fry. I would have never
God.
thought that this man would be associated with something like this, but it seems to have a really
What
good.
are you trying to say? I'm joking.
Stephen Fry?
I'm joking. I know, no, I get it. It's like some like, old British dude. You're like, okay, cool, sick.
It's also like the first thing that he's produced, which has me really interested. But I don't know if y'all know who Adele Future Nur is. It's Drake's manager. He's the one who got Euphoria up from the ground in order to be able to produce it. So like all the talent behind this shows me that it's going to be a pretty killer movie. Nice. On top of that, the composer is the 2-time Emmy winner from White Lotus, and it looks like it's going to be a very heavy sounding movie. So Pony Boy is definitely a good one to go there. And I saw someone in the chat was mentioning Exhibiting Forgiveness. This looks like it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, that was on my runner-ups.
The director here has worked at the MoMA, the Whitney, the Matt, and they made a short. I don't know if y'all saw Shut Up and Paint, about a guy who understands that the paintings that he's selling are going to end up in private homes, and his family will never be able to see them. So this movie was that. And now he's making a film with what I consider one of the best actors, Andre Holland. Anjanou Ellis is in this movie. Ooh. About a dude who is a painter, kind of reflecting back, I think specifically on his father coming back into his life. A really good thing of note here, produced by Derek Cianfrance.
Ooh.
Director.
Place Beyond the Pines.
Place Beyond the Pines.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Blue Valentine.
So I'm very excited for that one. But yeah, some of the other ones would be a good one that is about a girl going out in the woods with her father and his best friend. And then Between the Temples, as Zach had mentioned prior, I think it's going to be a good one. I need to catch Hector Martinez. That's been on my list for a while. But you didn't mention your boy does the cinematography on this.
Oh, yeah, Sean Price Williams. One of the best indie cinematographers and director of Sweet East.
Yeah, so that's a good one there. But those are some of the picks for the U.S. Dramatic Competition. We move on to the World Cinematic Competition. Yeah. Some of these have been pretty big ones with a lot of directors actually returning.
Yeah, I mean, Scrapper was the one that won last year, which was not our favorite pick from the festival, but I know a lot of people enjoyed that one, and it is a really sweet movie as well.
It's cute. It's cute.
I also really enjoyed Brian and Charles that came out of this category the previous year.
Yeah, it was cute.
It's so goofy. That almost auto-played on Peacock the other day. I was like, hey.
This is also the category that produced Cuties in 2020, but it also produced Identifying Features, which was Art's favorite movies of the fest in 2020. Historically, it's been the spot for movies like Run Lola Run, Whale Rider, and one of my favorite Sundance alums, Once, from John Carney.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why World Dramatic?
Because it's British?
Really?
Because it's not from the U.S.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I think we have a stacked one this year again. Some pretty good ones. True. And let me break it down with another one that I would consider in my top 5. Already has a trailer. It's coming to you from Neon. Handling the Undead. What did we say? Renata?
Yeah.
Virginie?
Renate Reigns?
If you've seen her in Worst Person in the World, you know that it doesn't matter what she's in. It's going to be fantastic. Yeah. They're pitching it as a mystery horror drama after an incident happens in Oslo. I'm all in.
Oof. All in.
Yeah. As we mentioned, she's in 2 movies at Sundance this year. So by the end of the festival, we'll definitely learn how to pronounce her name.
And it's it's the dude from Worst Person in the World in this one too.
Yeah.
It's Anders. It's that same guy. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm going to be there. Definitely. Oh, yeah. This is one that I actually want to see in theaters, but it is going to be available if you are at home because it is part of the world competition. So that's really cool. Zach was mentioning one of the movies that really stood out to me, and there is a follow-up from the director who worked on Identifying Features. But it is a twofer. They even have the kid who's in that iconic, I love the poster so much. He's coming back in Suyo, or Sujo, however you're going to pronounce it. That's kind of very similar about a Mexican boy who's trying to leave behind his son to live for a better life. I think she does a really good job with her actor, so I'm really excited to see what she's going to handle with this one. This next one is a satire that I hope hits in every way. It's called Veni Vidi Vici. It's a billionaire family that I'm pretty sure isn't killing animals. They do and hunt something else for sport.
Hey, how did I miss that one?
Yeah, I have this one on my list. It looks really interesting.
Up on our alley. So this one comes from Austria, and if they get the tone down right, we're going to be in for a treat. So Veni Vidi Vici, definitely one to look out for. This next one comes from a director who did, the actor was in a short called Too Rough. I don't know if y'all got to see this. It's a crazy good short about a gay guy who has his boyfriend come over and he has to hide, not realizing that this dude lives in an abusive father-son household. So now he's playing a 25-year-old aspiring writer who has a double life as a sex worker, and he goes by Sebastian. This looks like it's going to be a very interesting character study on him, because it looks like he's like code switching all the time depending on what he's doing, especially when the two worlds start to intertwine. So I'm really interested in that one because he's using his line of work to do some research for his next book. Reinas is another good one. It is a movie that comes from Switzerland, Peru, and Spain. Talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just has an interesting premise. It's like an immigration story, but like immigrating from, you know, a fraught situation. And I think one of the things that's really great about the World Cinema Competition are these stories that have like a specificity that really can only be told in a certain time and place too. So that's one of the reasons that it jumped out to me.
It's a very good one. So I have that one in my top 5. And then just going briskly through the other ones, a mystery drama from China called Brief History of a Family Mystery.
That's the other one that was on my list.
Right? It's around the time when they still had the one-child policy, and it's what this family's reckoning with. I think that's going to be a really good one. The one Amanda had mentioned, Girls Will Be Girls. I do think that that's going to be a good breakdown. Just a bunch of movies that are going to give you all these different perspectives that are going to be worth to watch. Yeah. And then wrapping it up, In the Land of Brothers. It's 3 members coming back from an extended family in Afghan. There's been several other movies like Alcaraz. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
Yeah.
Or Under the Fig Tree, where it's a lot of people who work in the fields and are kind of dealing with the community that they have. So I'm curious to see how that one gets expanded. Layla is about a drag queen, an Arab drag queen. And then the last one comes from Brazil. It's called Malu. An unemployed actress living with her conservative mother in a precarious house in Rio tries to deal with her strained relationship with her adult daughter. So a lot of good picks from the world. Dramatic, like Zach and Amanda were mentioning, really, really solid prior entries. But now we move on to the premieres, which I think is going to be the biggest category of them all. It's called premieres for a reason, you know?
Exactly. A lot of times the movies that even feel like it's so big, why is it even here at Sundance? Have their premiere here. Movies that have an attachment to a studio already. This is the category that in the past has premiered films like The Big Sick from Kumail Nanjiani, Miss Americana.
500 Days of Summer was in
this was the category?
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
it was
there
this,
you go.
which makes sense.
Late Night. I remember that one being massive.
Right. Promising Young Woman was a premiere. Most recently, this was the category that had Past Lives from A24 and Celine Song.
Yeah, they knew.
She's on a lot of people's best movies of the year list right now. So is there going to be another potential best movie of the year this year?
Let's hope.
I think we're going to have multiple. Right off the bat, another top 5 for me, Ghostlight. It's a drama about a guy who works in his local theater, and he's doing a Romeo and Juliet play, but it starts mirroring his own life. I'm a sucker for that. We haven't mentioned that Dolly De Leon is in one of the U.S. dramatic competition movies, if I'm not mistaken, which one it is. She's also in this one. She's going to be in Between the Temples. So another twofer for her. So
nice.
That's going to be really cool to check her out there. But
from Triangle of Sadness is probably what most
from
people
Triangle of Sadness is, But this is a duo direction. Kelly O'Sullivan was in a movie that I really liked called St. Francis, and she also did a short called My Summer Vacation. I thought that was pretty decent. So the fact that she's co-directing this with the director of St. Francis, I got this way at the top of my list. I think it's going to be really good, especially, you know, when the editor did Down Low, and we just put that as one of our
hidden gems
of the year. So I would highly recommend Ghostlight. I'm really excited for that. Amanda had mentioned A Different Man.
Yeah.
Which maybe some spoilers there, because turns out that this is the guy who's worked on very similar movies. Chained for Life was another one that starred an actor who many of you may know from Scarlett Johansson, being an alien, scoping out people.
Under the Skin?
Under the Skin.
Under the Skin.
Yeah.
He made this movie a while ago, and I love, Amanda broke down the premise about an actor trying to make it big. I love his description. There's very few that really get me to laugh. Aaron Schimberg lives in New York. He made 2 commercially disastrous features, But the second one, Chained for Life, was well received by critics. This is his third film. So I'm very curious to see what they go for.
Nice.
You had mentioned how this man commits it all. I truly agree. I think all of his independent movies was a fresh from Sundance. Was him going all in. So a good one to keep out. A Different Man. Zach had mentioned My Old Ass. I'm just impressed by the fact that she went from being the actress in The Secret Life of American Teenager, and now she's probably going to have 2 really good features under her belt. So shout out to Megan Park for that. And also good to note, Margot Robbie is producing this one. So you got some power back there. I would not mess with a movie produced by Margot Robbie, especially when their last
Barbie,
Sundance one ended up being Promising Young Woman.
Yeah.
So some good stuff there for My Old Ass. Amanda, go ahead. You had mentioned Sasquatch Sunset. There's a lot to talk about this one.
Oh, yeah. This one, I feel like they were trying to keep it all under wraps, and you just really knew that like it was Eisenberg and Riley Keough, and they still are. So if you look it up now, it doesn't just say a singular family. It does say a day, like the life of a Sasquatch family. And they've confirmed that now. But like, is it going to be like a mockumentary? Is it going to feel like a narrative? Are they going to talk? Are they just grunting? I don't know.
Jesse Eisenberg has said that he doesn't have lines, just various grunts.
Wait,
so.
really?
So that's why this could either be really good or I'm going to hate it. Those are the lines here. I actually don't think I'm going to have an in-between on this movie. It's either really going to work or I'm going to hate it. I'm mainly seeing it because my mom kind of actually believes that Sasquatch are real.
It's a doc then.
It's a doc. I'm going to be like, I saw the doc, Mom. They found them.
Well, what if I told you it's produced by someone who usually gives you those exact same emotions?
Oh, no.
With Ari Aster. He's coming in to produce this.
He did a Dream Scenario, too.
Technically, well, that's what I'm saying. It might be a Beau is Afraid. It might be a Dream Scenario.
No, this is someone else's work. This is someone else's there.
True.
Ari Aster is around to tell them no. He needed someone around to tell him
You want someone
no.
to reel him back.
Yeah.
It's coming from the brothers, the Zoner Bros, who did Kumiko, which I thought was a pretty decent movie. Damsel is kind of cute, but they're working on The Curse right now. So like,
yeah, they are.
I'm hoping that they're still on that vibe and that it's going to deliver. So I'm really excited. Y'all are saying that there's no dialogue in this movie, so
According to
good
Eisenberg.
thing they have one of the best cinematographers out there who's done a lot of really good horror films recently. So I mean, that's a stacked list between It Follows, Us, and I love Under the Silver Lake. So.
Under the Silver Lake, baby.
Oh yeah, you and me are the fans, right?
Yeah, we're the fans.
We're the two who are going to be there in the retrospectives. Wrapping up. Some other stuff. Presence, as was mentioned prior, is the new one by David Soderbergh. The Outrun. Steven, what did I say?
David,
my bad. I read David Cope, the writer, and Steven.
There you go.
But The Outrun is going to be a big one. Nora Finkscheit did a little movie that played in Toronto, if I'm not mistaken, called System Crasher, and she got one of the best child performances out of this girl.
Oh, damn.
And now she's adapting a book with Saoirse Ronan as a... I want to say
that is Saoirse.
Yeah, a prior addict who's coming in, trying to revisit her old town, but is gonna have to face a lot of old demons. Ooh. We might be getting the best performance of her career, man.
We need it. She needs it.
Yeah, it's gonna be really good. I don't know if there were other ones that stood out to y'all, because I know people did not like the trailer for the American Society of Magical Negroes. I was very interested in this when I first read it. You know, Michael Abels is doing the music, and he's done a lot of Get Out stuff. Turns out that it's also the cinematographer who did a movie that sounded very familiar. Also came out of Sundance. Sorry to bother you.
Yeah.
That trailer does look pretty dumb, so I'm a little concerned with it, but that will be having its premiere there.
Could be a case of bad trailer. Could just be a really bad trailer. Because like we're seeing that right now with I Used to Be Funny.
Yeah. Let's hope, but
it's hard to say. Yeah.
Chiwetel Ejiofor also has a movie that he's directing called Raw Peace. It's a guy who went to Yale, and then on the side is dealing like heavy drugs. So very curious to see how they're gonna handle that one.
Is it heavy? I thought it was literally marijuana, which was just considered really heavy back then. That was considered serious.
Yeah, probably.
I thought it was.
It's also produced by David Fuqua, or Antoine Fuqua. I'm gonna say David for every single person in this cast now. But I'm excited for this one. I don't know if y'all saw Chiwetel's last one. I remember Alina had to go see Boy in the Harness because she skipped a screening. She couldn't be let in. So I think his direction's decent, but the story intrigues me. So I'm curious to see what they do with that.
Definitely curious about that one.
Yeah, same.
I'll spotlight a movie called Freaky Tales. Have either of you looked at this one at all?
Dude, read the
I saw the Teen
man.
Punks and I was kind of... interested, and I like the idea of defending turf against the Nazis.
It sounds like an anthology, though, which I know you're iffy
Which
on.
There's a couple of these I'm like,
I don't think it's an anthology. I think it's more like a Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels type, like
so.
ensemble, interconnected kind of thing. Because it says it takes place in Oakland in 1987 as mysterious force guides the town's underdog in 4 interconnected tales. Teen punks defend their turf against Nazi skinheads. A rap duo battles for hip-hop immortality. A weary henchman gets a shot at redemption. And an NBA All-Star settles the score. This has got like just a absolutely wild premise. If you're watching the feed, you can see that the image they've chosen is of Pedro Pascal, who is an actor a lot of people are really excited about. An actor that I like a lot is also in this, in Ben Mendelsohn. Jay Ellis is in this too.
Who's Ben playing?
Yeah, probably the NBA All-Star, right? That or maybe. So, like, this is a movie that can go either way, right? Because like when I see something that's as sort of out there as this, part of me thinks that like Sundance also had the premiere of Downhill, the Bad Force Majeure remake, or The Last Thing He Wanted, that disastrous movie with Anne Hathaway and Ben Affleck. But I also got a little bit of hope because I happen to be a fan of Ryan Fleck and Anna Boden, the directing team who are behind this movie. Most well known for directing Captain Marvel, although they are pretty anonymous on that one. I really like their work on films like Half Nelson, which got Ryan Gosling his first Oscar nomination, Mississippi Grind, which is a really underrated gambling movie with Ryan Reynolds, probably the last good acting Ryan Reynolds did, and Ben Mendelsohn again.
Yeah, that's their boy.
Perhaps my favorite of theirs, though, is Sugar, which is this incredibly interesting story about a Dominican baseball player living with an American family and playing in minor leagues. It's just a really, they're really, really interesting indie directors. And since they've been sort of like caught in the MCU sphere, they haven't really got back to their indie roots. So my hope is that this film sort of reconnects them with the types of movies that I know them for and I like them for.
I hope, dude.
Or it's going to be one of the big disasters of the festival and we'll just be there to find out.
Well, I got 2 things for you. One to encourage you and one to discourage you. One, they are keeping the Marvel stuff. They have an additional director. Ooh. How many times do you see that other than the Marvel movies that get an additional director? It's for stunts though.
Oh
so
yeah.
Hopefully,
so that means they probably got they probably did the Marvel.
They really
stuff
did learn from Marvel and outsourcing.
Yeah, how nice it is to have the stunt unit. We got a stunt unit. You control that. We like that. Yeah.
So hopefully it doesn't veer too much that way. We still get the drama that Zach was talking about, which is why I got a positive for you here. It is produced by Too Short. So I mean, if Too Short's on it.
It's going to be authentic.
This was probably the biggest whiplash I got out of all of the research that I did. Oh my
God.
Yeah.
Too Short's going to be at Sundance.
That's
just
so
speaking
funny.
of the music world invading this movie, Normani is one of the actors in this film as well.
I think, right?
As far as I can tell, it's their acting debut, her acting debut.
That's going to be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Angus in one of his final films.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And Jack Champion, who I think is going to be the Hitman.
Damn.
Has to be. I know people really like him. Last 2 over here, they have a new one for Winner. I know a lot of people don't really care for Susanna Fogel, who did Cat Person, but Reality Winner, dude, that's the story that keeps on trucking along being made. Yeah. It is going to star Emilia Jones because she's the Sundance darling for them. I don't know if you guys are up and down on this one. Winner?
I think it's either going to, it almost feels like maybe run of the mill a bit, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see when we see it. Like, Reality Winner story is obviously like a fascinating one that would make for great drama. And the Sydney Sweeney movie that I really like, Reality, it's a very narrowly focused movie. Like it just takes place in the immediate aftermath of her being confronted. So there is room to kind of widen the scope, and do something that is a little bit more comprehensive. Whether or not it will be better, we'll have to find out.
Unrelated, I had not watched Reality yet. Did not realize that was what it was about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was something totally different. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Reality Winner's got like 3 movies out there. What if I told you this was being pitched as a comedy?
It doesn't surprise me. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at it right now. It read like a. It was reading like a comedy until I got to like NSA whistleblower, and I'm like, oh, this is a real
And
story.
you're like, oh, okay.
This is a real story.
Well,
I see
she likes to deal with tone.
Galifianakis and Catherine Newton. I was like, okay.
As I hope it's not too Craig Gillespie-esque, though. I'll say that much.
That's true. Yeah, we'll see. The last premiere here is a comedy action movie called Thelma. June Squibb stars in her first leading role ever.
Whoa.
I
hope she
has
kills
always
someone.
been supporting. I thought this was going to be like a drama. The guy says this is based off my grandma who got scammed online by someone pretending to be me. So now
Yeah.
this is June
It's a big
Squibb.
one.
I don't know, y'all know Fred. Fred been out there. He been working for a minute.
Yeah,
He been in
Fred the
some Nance
popcorn
movies.
man Heckinger.
Yeah.
Popcorn boy.
We know some stories of Fred. It's an action movie because him and his grandma, not Fred, but the director, used to watch a lot of action movies, and they're kind of doing almost the reverse Nebraska, where she goes to get revenge on the people who tried to scam her. So,
I love
pretty
that.
good lineup when it
Yeah.
comes to the premieres. Then there's, of course, the documentaries that I have split on the Notion as well. Zach mentioning Girls State. There's going to be a Superman, Christopher Reeves documentary that looks like it's going to be interesting. Look Into My Eyes comes from, I think, when y'all mentioned Miss Americana. Lana Wilson coming back. She had done Pretty Baby Brooke Shields last year as well, which I thought was
yeah.
pretty decent. So she's going to be there. There's a Devo doc for those of you who want to whip it. Luther, Never Too Much for those of you who like R&B music.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one that really stands out to me. Will and
I saw
Harper.
Will and
that.
Harper.
Yeah, Will and Harper.
This thing, I feel is gonna smack me emotionally out of nowhere. It's a documentary with Will Ferrell and one of his closest friends of 30 years who comes out, who decide to take a cross-country journey. Zach was the first to spotlight. Bruh, it's directed by someone who made one of the kookiest movies.
Oh no.
Not Strays, but Barb and
Barb
Star.
and Star.
Yeah. Plus one for Barb and Star, Go to Vista Del Mar, -1 for Strays. I think,
Minus
on that.
2 for Strays. But I am so intrigued with this one. It is a documentary, but he is doing it off of his Gloria Sanchez Productions. So I'm really looking forward to Will and Harper. I think it's going to be a surprise hit. And then there's a couple of other docs there too. One about the Philippines and their voting. I would highly recommend 1,000 Cuts if you haven't seen that one. Power, about police in America. And then Sue Bird in the clutch, who I did not know was married to Megan, the soccer player.
Rapino, yeah, they're
Oh, they're the cute
Power.
couple.
it's
Yeah.
a goat married to a
Freaking
goat.
couple, dude.
Yeah, the power
I
couple.
did not realize that. Yeah, that's insane. So, pretty good documentaries there. Wrapping up the competitions with some of the U.S. competition dramatic selections, I have another top 5 for me. There's a Frida doc. And
Yeah.
not just a Frida doc. A Frida doc that's coming from Carla Gutierrez, who did all of the editing for most of the Julie Cohen and Betsy West documentaries. 2 goats in the sphere who are also producing this movie for their editor. So I am super excited for this one. I think Frida Kahlo is one of the coolest figures out there. It's all supposed to be done in her words and archives. So I'm banking on this one. My only worry is that it looks like it's going to be a little too short. And I hope they do it justice. But
Right. I can see that.
when I think of Frida Kahlo, I think of producer Ron Howard, and I'm hoping that he's going to make sure that she got what she needed for it. But that one's going to be pretty cool. There is another one from the editor who did Genius, which just premiered not too long ago. He even edited Don't Go Telling Your Mama, one of the like spunkiest shorts that came out of Sundance as well. It's called As We Speak, and he's breaking down how rappers are the one genre of music that get their lyrics used against them. They mentioned that Killer Mike is going to be in this, so I'm very curious to see how this movie breaks that down. Daughters is about this special daddy-daughter dance that they do at a prison.
Yeah.
And
damn.
the one time that the DC jails allow them to connect with each other, I read this and I'm like, oh yeah, this is just going to be like one of the most impacting ones out there.
Yeah, I read it and it was like, all right, I know the one that's going to reduce
Got
me
it.
to a puddle of
Right?
tears.
Yeah.
Got it. This is the one that I have to like be sure to have something to wipe my face clean afterwards.
Easily.
Yeah.
And produced by Joe Edgerton.
Oh.
So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I don't have much to say about Every Little Things because it's about a woman who comes to LA and she's like hummingbirds and she starts following hummingbirds. That was until I saw that the director did Playing with Sharks and Zach, the Wiggles documentary. So I don't care what hummingbird she's playing with. This sounds like whatever documenting she's going to be doing, I'm gonna be there for it because she has been one of the best go-to documentarians in the past couple of years, in my opinion. And then wrapping up the top list here, Union. They made one on the Amazon Labor. So I think that's pretty cool.
Nice.
And it's coming from the directors who did Crime and Punishment, which was a fantastic documentary. I don't know if there was anything else.
I mean, I was just going to
category?
talk more about Union because 2023 was obviously like a huge year in terms of labor relations and unions, not just in Hollywood, the writers and screen actors strike, but with the railroad workers strike and with the Teamsters threatening to strike and all sorts of unions, especially the Amazon labor union continuing to try to make advancements in Amazon warehouses. And I don't know if is it Chris Small or Christian Small, something like that, who heads up a lot of it. I'm assuming he's going to play a big role in this movie. So
yes, sir.
I'm definitely curious about this
It
one.
looks cool. You know, there is one here that I have marked. It's called Sugarcane, and I figured you're going to be attracted to this one because the producer has done every single one of your boys' documentaries, Midnight Family and A Still Small Voice.
Oh,
It's about an investigation that happens at a reservation.
I think you're talking about future Intercut podcast guest Kellen Quinn, who I just interviewed for his role on A Still Small Voice.
Hey.
Oh, well, there you
Hell
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So boom.
Shout out to Kellen. We'll see you at Sundance.
Sugarcane, that's another one that you read the description to that and what was happening at that school, and it definitely looks like it's gonna hit. A lot of AI movies. One of the first AI movies is here called Love Machina. They want to transfer someone's body into the subconscious, but it's their affair buddy. Like it's the side chick. Gaucho is interesting because it comes from the Truffle Hunter duo. I don't know if y'all ever saw Truffle Hunters, but
yeah, I love that movie
Oh, yeah.
or documentary.
that's still on my watch list. But they're making one on Gaucho, so that's going to be pretty interesting to catch. Then there's Porcelain War about Ukraine and Skywalkers about like I don't know, Cirque du Soleil people. They're these daredevilers who fall in love. So that'll be out there as well.
Yeah, that's the movie that, as much as I think it's going to be interesting, it's going to be a tough sell for me because even looking at that
Heights?
poster, I get those chills up and down my spine.
Yeah. For World Cinema, I got 3 to point out. This one right here is insane.
Yeah, Black Box Diaries.
It is about a woman, a journalist who embarks on her own sexual investigation, really just sexual assault that she received from like a real big high up person. That is her. She is a director. She is all of it. It's her debut. This might be the standout doc of the fest in my opinion because this sounds like the rawest thing. She pretty much pioneered the whole movement in Japan. So this is going to be a standout for the World Cinema competition, as well as Eternal You. We were just talking about AIs.
Yeah.
This one looks like the good one because it comes from some of the producers of Eternal Memory. Another one where they're trying to create avatars for people that you've lost, kind of like those Google commercials, so that you keep kind of like a semblance of your loved ones.
Or like the Black Mirror episode, right?
Kind of like exactly like that. The last one I'll mention here is a movie that comes from the director who did The Painter and the Thief.
Ooh.
Really interesting movie. This one's called Ibelin, about a gamer who passed away because he had a muscular disease, and his parents felt like he was always lonely in his room until they start getting letters from all of the gamer friends that he had around the world. So while they thought that he had never gone out, turns out he had traveled the world. And I'm like, if they do this right, more tears. So we're just gonna have icicles throughout all of the festivals. So
Yeah, I had a friend who died of something similar. So
yeah, I think it's gonna be a very interesting perspective of looking at the gaming community as something more than the same jokes that they make. In the next category, I don't know if y'all had any ones that stood out because I think obviously the biggest one is Little Death, a comedy drama that's coming from a dude who's worked with Kendrick Lamar, SZA. It's produced by Darren Aronofsky as well, which is what makes me think it's going to be super weird.
Yeah.
But this one seems to also be an anthology or like a cross
that's why I'm
type
like,
movie.
I was in it, and then I saw the description, and then that made me go like right back because I was like Jenna Malone, Talia Ryder,
Yeah.
David Schwimmer in something like, and then it was
You know
like
what?
Dominic Fike,
Jenna
but-
Malone
Jenna Malone,
and Talia Ryder can play
They-
sisters.
yeah,
I see it.
yeah, I see it.
So I'm curious for this one. It's about a middle-aged filmmaker on the verge of a breakthrough. Then there's two kids searching for a backpack, and then a small dog. The next category is always different. They tend to be movies like a ghost story, movies that try to do like different flips on things. So
Spree.
they can go either way. Yeah, I always say it's either going to be your next favorite movie, or it's going to be a movie that you watch and you go 5 minutes in next, because
Yep.
it's not going to be up your alley.
I mean, for me, Seeking Mavis Beacon is what I'm curious about as
Talk
a,
about it.
Yeah,
Dude.
yeah.
This looks
As
raw.
a child of the 90s who grew up in computer labs learning to type thanks to Mavis and her beacon. But yeah, it's a really interesting sounding film about the search for the cover model from these are they, do we call them games? Is it just computer programs?
Typewriting
or-
games. Yeah.
Typewriting games, yeah. But obviously, like, the search for something that has been lost to history is an intriguing enough premise, but that they chose to put this in the next category also promises something potentially unique or interesting to the approach. Like, some of the alumni from the next category are movies like Sleepwalk with Me, or last year was Kokomo City, and obviously Art mentioned earlier Searching. So these are, what is the name of the Joe Keery one where he's the Uber driver?
Spree.
Right. So these are movies that are like pushing the boundaries of what we normally think of as like cinema. So there might be some like interesting twist to how they assemble this Mavis Beacon documentary. Maybe it's in the form of a typewriting game or something like that.
I agree. Yeah, I think this would be interesting. Already picked up by Neon.
Ooh.
Okay. That's also a promising sign.
Neon.
Another thing that
Right.
is worth checking sometimes with these movies is whether or not there's a studio actually attached. Like, a lot of these films are already with like A24 or Neon, and obviously people have a lot of warm feelings toward those companies. So it might be extra incentive to check out some of these films.
It's gonna be good. Some of the other ones that, again, are kind of mixing documentaries, so it's gonna be really interesting. This one's about a woman who's now like kind of living on her own, dealing with anxiety and such. But it seems like it's gonna be intermixed with the director's own home footage, and the director, I think, has made some really good shorts. Pillars is on Criterion Collection. This one should have been nominated for the Oscar, The Sentence of Michael Thompson, and Summer Animals. So some really good stuff. I'm excited to see her feature. It's a
Did you say the name of the movie is Tendaberry?
Tendaberry, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm curious to see what they do with this one. And they continue it with hybrids. Desire Lines is another hybrid doc that says it's about the past, present that collide when an Iranian-American trans man time travels through an LGBTQ plus archive. So some interesting stuff there. It's got Theo from They Them. And all I'm going to say,
They/them, because that was
Is that
definitely
what-
the intended title. They/them.
they slashed them wasn't for me.
Same.
But
It
Adam
felt
wasn't for a lot of
homophobic.
people, and that has the funniest ending. When they're looking out at the skyline, I still stand by that being one of the funniest endings to a Sundance movie, and it's on Tubi.
Damn, I forgot about Adam until this very moment.
Right?
That was like
Same.
the big
That was
discourse.
the first year that we all did Sundance together.
That was a big discourse.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
Yeah.
Kneecap is Michael Fassbender producing a movie, a crime music drama in Ireland. So, curious what they're going to do with that one and the
And we should also mention that these next category films are another category that is entirely
Good point.
online in Sundance. So along with the competition categories, these are all films that you can watch from the comfort of your own home.
But I wouldn't let this one in my home. The Realm of Satan is another hybrid drama looking at just Satanists, people who just, as it says right here, their lifestyle in magic, mystery, and misanthropy, which, if I'm not mistaken, means a hatred for humankind.
Humanity. Yeah. Dislike of humankind. Yeah.
If you've already directed Buffalo Juggalos, I'm sure you could put up with a lot. So I'm like super curious, yet I don't want to watch it at the same time. Realm of Satan, wrapping up the list for the next category. And then our final ones over here, there's some stuff that is playing at the Spotlight, which is a category that highlights movies that have played elsewhere. I know you two have seen both of these movies that are probably the biggest highlights here in How to Have Sex and Hitman.
I have seen
Yeah.
both of those.
I would recommend How to Have Sex slightly more.
The Mother of All Lies was at TIFF. It's gonna get a virtual screening, which is good because
Ooh.
I think this is one of the few docs that slipped under my radar that might get the nom.
Oh.
Interesting.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Would you recommend Hitman or How to Have Sex if people are at Sundance?
Maybe particularly Hitman, because it's a Netflix movie and we don't know
Yeah.
whether or not it will get any kind of decent theatrical release.
And
Like,
it's fun with a crowd.
It's a movie that is really fun to see with a crowd. So it might be worth it. Obviously, like we always stress that like Sundance is an opportunity to see films that may not ever see a release. Like
Right.
sometimes there are great films that just never see the light of day again. So at least with Hitman, you do have the promise that it will come out eventually, but it's going to be a good time if you do go there.
I agree. Whereas like How to Have Sex, I feel like that might be something you might prefer watching at home alone or with your best pals of gals. So you can
I mean,
fight
like
someone
you
on a
guys
bus.
said,
But
it's Netflix for Hitman, right? And Mubi, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it is
Yes.
Movie
Now.
Got Movie Got How to Have Sex.
How to Have Sex. I
Yeah.
missed both. I'm looking forward to them. I might have to jump over there and catch some of those. But that is the spotlight category, always highlighting some of the movies that have played elsewhere that they're showcasing here at the festival. I don't know if y'all checked out anything in the episodic one. There's some interesting
Nope,
stuff.
not really.
They have a Tammy Faye intro premiere thing. Our big thing with these is that they're only giving you a couple of episodes. So while it's cool that they're showcasing them, who wants to see 2 out of 4? The only thing that they're fully completing is this God Saves Texas trilogy.
Yeah, which I
It
think
is-
Richard Linklater is involved in that as well.
Yeah. He's got the first one that is called Hometown Prison, and his
Curious.
you need to watch separately. He will have 3 screenings, whereas the other 2 are getting combined. Same running time. They're
Yeah.
getting combined for the price of oil in La Frontera, and you only get 1 screening.
Oh,
Multiple theaters, you got to go all the way to the Redstone for this. I believe it's picked up by HBO, so you'll just be able to catch all 3 back home. The Lollapalooza story seems pretty interesting. Got picked up by Paramount Plus. And then the Synonym Fix is about the cult, and there's already a doc that just dropped right now. So I'm kind of curious about that because it sounds like Don't Worry Darling, the movie. So
Might be why they all jumped on it.
Where's the other doc that dropped for that?
I want to say it's on Paramount Plus,
Okay, so then Hulu's going to have to get this one as the competing.
right? To compete the Fire Festival style.
Yeah.
Then they also do some pilot showcases, which to me either means that it's a short that they want to pitch for a feature or maybe TV series. Who knows?
Yeah.
The one that I want to point out is Miwi. It is the story of this girl who Amaria Yaya Jones, an argumentative teenager with a passion for dance, must plead her case to her overprotective brother in hopes of winning his blessing to walk to school with her first crush. Screenwriter
Cute.
Rob McElhenney.
What?
Exactly. I just
It's
wanted to
Always
see
Sunny?
your reaction. I just
Mythic
wanted to
Quest?
see your reaction. Unless there's another one, bro. Yeah. So interesting stuff there.
Cool.
If y'all are curious to check stuff out in the episodic one, they always tend to have special screenings. So they're movies that are premiered in the past. Sometimes they get the cast back together. We usually watch the new stuff, but if you were curious to go catch the Napoleon Dynamite one, they'll have it there. It hasn't fully
Yeah,
updated
it's
here,
gonna
but
be-
they have a couple of retrospectives.
I think it's going to be like the 15th anniversary of Napoleon or the 20-year anniversary of Napoleon Dynamite next year.
Sheesh.
Dang.
Mild
You're
ass indeed.
Yeah.
And then a couple of New Frontier stuff, which is supposed to be like VR centric, kind of doing something new in the space that kind of have running times. I believe one of them is an Eno retrospective, the composer, musician, and then the other one is supposed to be like an AI robot of sorts. So let's wrap up the list with the midnight ones. You guys already mentioned some of the
Hey.
best ones out there. I saw the TV Glow. It's going to be really good. I know people are really excited for that, but it's picked up by A24. Love Lies Bleeding, as Amanda mentioned, the new one from Rose Glass, also picked up by A24. There's so many movies that are just picked up. In a Violent Nature sounds like it's going to be another
Yeah, that
one
one
like
looked interesting.
Hear No Evil. They're
Yeah.
saying this one's going to be really nasty. Picked up by Shudder. All these movies are damn near picked up already. There is one that was a short that has now become a feature, Your Monster, and it stars Melissa Varela. So she will have one horror. coming out in 2024, and it looks weird.
It
She
looks
has
weird.
like it looks like
Looks
the
quirky.
the Frankenstein movie that's about to come out.
Poor things.
No. The,
I know.
You know what I'm talking
Lisa
about, right, Zach?
Frankenstein. Lisa Frankenstein.
Lisa Frankenstein. Thank you.
Yeah.
But like in reverse.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, she falls in love with her monster, and it helps her cope. So that'll be a horror movie that's out there. Zach had mentioned the kidnapping movie. It looks like it's going to be really interesting. And again, as I pull it up here, you'll notice that a lot of these movies aren't playing online. But the last time I checked, just to confirm over here, available in person. I lied to y'all. It is only available for press.
Oh,
Those damn
feel like
midnight
I-
months.
I,
And speaking of
My hopes were
speaking of
kidnapped.
which, am I wrong, or are there no more actual midnight screenings at Sundance?
Thank you for noting that.
Yeah, I
One of our
noticed
most
that.
anticipated with I Saw the TV Glow opening day, 10 p.m.
They must have noticed that people weren't going.
Showing up? Y'all got to rename
Yeah.
the category to Midnight Eastern Time if that's the case. Like, what's going on?
You know what? I'm good with that.
I'll take it, bro.
I'll
I'm
take
fine
it. I'll
with
go
it
to
too.
sleep.
Damn.
My
You
old
start
ass,
at
my old
8
ass
a.m.
doesn't stay up for those midnight screenings
Easily.
anymore.
Yeah.
We need to find a poster from Wild Ass and just carry it around with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really.
Tape
The
it to
last
my
couple
back.
here. It's What's Inside. It's a pre-wedding party that
Yeah.
descends into an existential nightmare. It stars Brittany O'Grady, who some of you may know from The White Lotus.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. I
No,
think that
the
one looks
season
good.
one, yeah. It's produced by Coleman Domingo, so hey, I think the man has
Hell
good
yeah.
taste. So there might be
Yeah.
something there.
All the track
And
record.
then the last two is a comedy horror called Crazy House. Who it's got Nick Frost at the center of it, so I'm sure people
Yeah.
are gonna be really excited for that.
Alicia Silverstone.
Playing his sitcom wife. So I'm kind of curious as like he's shooting
Dude.
a show and then it becomes reality.
She can do no wrong for me.
He can do no-
every time
yeah.
anything she's in. I'm like, you are elevating this so firmly. Like she pops up in Reptile, and I'm like, oh my god, look at you
Dude,
go.
thank you. I felt she was underappreciated in Reptile. She was really good in Reptile too.
She's so good.
Yeah. And then the last one to wrap up this list for the midnight and just the entire lineup is John Bell's The Mugai. He already had this as a short, and we thought it was pretty good, a nice little horror. And now he's making a feature film where it follows a mother who, while taking care of their second baby, starts getting haunted. There's some malevolent spirits that are following her. He works some magic with the short. I hope he goes all out with the feature.
Oh, yeah.
It's being pitched as a horror mystery. So I'm very excited. This one
Ooh.
comes from Australia, so there's going to be some deep roots in there as well. But overall, that is everything from the Sundance Film Festival for 2024. I told y'all we'd do it in under 90 minutes. We went through everything in under
nailed it.
90 minutes. Hopefully, we put some stuff on your radar. Let us know your favorites, what you're looking forward to, any questions that you have. Let us know down below so that we can help in any way that we
Yeah.
can. If you're going to be at the fest, if you're going to watch at home, all that good stuff.
I'll go give a super quick shout out to 3 shorts just because I know some of the people involved. So
Do it.
no, I haven't seen these and I'm not objective about them at all. But there's so many shorts and it's so hard to navigate them. So if you're looking for somewhere to get started, check out the short Grace. There's another one called Guts, and also the short Pathological. All look really interesting and have nice people behind them.
Nice.
Nice.
Alina also made a list for the shorts, a letterbox list. They tend to be the hardest ones to get posters of, but another solid year of shorts as well. So,
Hell
and
yeah.
again, you can watch all of those from the comfort of your own house. I don't think that they're barring any of them. And
Exactly.
they also got the new Malia and Obama's short. So
That's
y'all
wild.
missed it.
That's
Yeah.
wild. I'm sorry. That's
I don't think it should be
Good for
here.
her.
It started at South by last year, and they did not allow it. It was the only short that didn't have a virtual thing. And then,
Interesting.
And then Chicago got it virtual, and Toronto got it virtual, and now at Sundance it's virtual. So it is going to be there as well. Like I said, we've got that list right there for those of you who are interested in checking out
Yeah.
the Sundance Short Film
Look
Festival.
for the
list. We'll
link
it down
to
below.
the description of the episode. Yeah.
Yep, and we have the lineup as well over on Letterboxd so that you can look through that. But any last minute thoughts, questions, concerns, things that the people need to know before the Sundance Film Festival?
Amanda?
No, I don't know. Just like, be prepped those days if you're getting tickets. Like, just know when it's your turn to go and get your stuff,
Yeah.
and don't
Every
be
year.
super discouraged if something doesn't work out, because stuff opens up. The wait list is a really viable way to get into some of those like really big movies if you're like on the ball for it. And like, you know what? It only takes 2 seconds. You can be in a movie and you're still just like, I gotta hit, and that's okay. You do it and you get in.
Sometimes they're nice and they even shine a flashlight for you so that you can see where your phone is.
Yeah, they're so nice. I'm stealth. They haven't caught me yet. I'm good.
Yeah.
You got to get the jacket, because then you're not bothering anybody. You're just like,
Yeah.
no one knows. You're fine.
And you will have a jacket.
You will have a jacket.
Definitely.
You should.
If you're
have a
going to
jacket.
Sundance, definitely keep in mind Arturo loves hugs from strangers. If you see him
He
from across
loves
the street,
them.
just dart into traffic. That's
Run
a
at
really
him.
encouraging thing that like makes him believe that you're like a good faith person. So
Giving them mwah, mwah,
And when you're at that speed, when you're at that velocity, make sure to charge at Zach, because if there's a snowbank, it's just something about it that he loves to swim in.
He loves them. He loves them so much.
And Amanda's
Don't
phone
touch
number
me.
is 3. No. No, it's gonna be a good time. If y'all have any questions,
great.
definitely let us know down below.
You know what we should mention? If you actually do look at the Sundance program, there are some conspicuous gaps in the schedule. You look Friday night, you look Saturday night at the Eccles, at some of the big theaters. There are 4
gaps.
5-hour blank spaces. And last year, we know that Past Lives was one of the late announcements. And as we talked about earlier, a lot of people's favorite movie of the year. So there still might be some announcements coming. I think there was also like
January.
a Doug Lyman directed Brett Kavanaugh documentary that was
that just
announced
popped
the
up.
day before it premiered and
Yeah.
had one screening. So
Oh, okay. I thought you meant another one, bro. I'm like, no,
Another one?
no.
No,
maybe
no, that
it'll
one
be
popped
back
up.
this year and we don't know yet.
It could.
Yeah, so keep your eyes peeled. Maybe turn on Twitter notifications for Sundance's account, because there might still be some interesting stuff to come.
Good stuff. I would highly recommend sunglasses. The sun in Sundance is no joke. While
Oh,
it
man.
is cold, that
Especially-
sun reflects off the white.
It's
Yeah.
I wear sunglasses all the time, and I need sunglasses
Yes.
probably more in winter than I do in summer because of how firmly things reflect off of snow.
And if you're coming out of a dark theater,
Yeah, and you're like, yeah.
It's one of the most like white blanketed snowy places that I've
Beautiful,
ever
though.
been to. And as you mentioned, yeah, just the reflection is blinding when you're coming out from a dark theater.
again, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, let us know down below. You can follow me over at LME Movies on all social media, or over at Let Me Explain on YouTube.com. Amanda, where can they find more from you?
You can find me all over the place at Amanda the Jedi, but primarily on YouTube.
Zach?
And I'm at Zshevich across social media and at Multiplex Show on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.
You could follow everything dealing with the Intercut podcast over at Twitter, over on Patreon for all of our supporters who are catching this early. You can catch us every week on Mondays. Almost forgot when our
Mondays.
Weekend Must Watch was. Every Monday on the Weekend Must Watch. We'll be doing some live streams from Sundance as well. Obviously, as you've seen from all of our coverage from the past couple of years, we will be bringing you the best of the lineups, individual reviews, all of that good stuff. This is just the beginning of what's going to be the best of next year already. So make sure to follow us on all social medias down below. And until next time, keep watching movies, and we'll send you some Albertos.